Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the April 22nd meeting of the Ontario School Board. We have a tobacco policy in place. There is no smoking within 100 feet of any school building. Please rise for the pledge. Board Clerk, will you please call roll?
Trustee Knudsen,
Here.
Trustee Jerome,
Here.
Trustee Goodrich,
Here.
Trustee Mitchell Morrell,
Here.
Trustee Hemingway Lynch, Trustee Raimondo,
Here.
Trustee Bishop.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to start our meeting off with our welcome from Bennett Principal, Mr. Gabriel Bono.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Bennett Elementary. I hope you had a wonderful spring break. I'm just going to give you a quick little update of what's been going on at Bennett. On April 4th, Ruth Mirende and the Ashokan Center donated time in a musician, and we were introduced to a nickel harpa, which is a Swedish bowed instrument with many strings and truly unique sounds. I had never heard of a nickel harpa before, but we were enthralled, and I just want to thank the Ashokan Center and Ruth for a wonderful performance yet again. Right before spring break, our PBIS team put on a spring fest, and our students were able to rotate, I think, through 6 different stations Friday afternoon of that. That kicked off our spring break, and we ended with children planting seeds for the garden to having all kinds of other spring-like activities and reading in the library. It was truly a fantastic time. I just want to give kudos to our PBIS team. And then that Friday evening, the Bennett PTA hosted Bennett's talent show, and I want to give a special thanks to Stephen Frank, who has a tremendous amount of technical and musical experience and really helped bolster the show and talent of our children. A special thanks to Trustee Sarah Lynch, who emceed the event. And there are so many PTA families and parents that came to help and assist. And it'll probably take the next half an hour to recognize them, but I just want to give them a shout out as well because the performance was amazing. Our students were and are so truly talented and gifted, and they were able to shine that night. It was a wonderful communal event. I was proud to be there in the audience. So kudos to all of those who made it happen. Let's see. Our second grade is going to be going on a field trip, and as part of their social studies curriculum, they study community. They're going to be going to Phoenicia. They're going to be walking around to the library. A couple of other establishments. I believe Phoenicia 28 is going to be donating pizza, and they're going to have a little picnic next Tuesday. And just wanted to give a shout out to all of those businesses who are donating time to help show and give our second graders the experience of what a community actually is. Town hall. And then Katrina Quigley is one of our integrated co-teachers. She is currently working in 1st and 2nd grade, and she has a connection to the Board of Elections. And she has, with her help, she's brought them to us. They're going to be coming to us. Oh, what's the date? I think May 14th they're coming, and the Board of Elections is going to give a presentation, 3 presentations. 1 to K1, another presentation to 2-3, and then 4-5. Ms. Quigley and I need to sit down and meet with the staff to come up with what students are going to vote on, but the Board of Elections has done this once before in Kingston, where the school had to vote on best shirt design, best ice cream flavor, and best season. So our teachers will be selecting questions for each respective grade level, and they'll have to then vote just like our community is going to have to vote on the upcoming budget. So I think May 14th is right before, was it May 21st is the big budget? 20th on that Tuesday, correct? So yeah, I thought it was great, and we're happy to have the Board of Elections. And I don't know, do you have any ideas? Should we put a proposition on the back for the children to vote on? You guys can let me know. With that said, you know, we're in the thralls of state assessments, and we delivered ELA to our 3rd and 4th graders right before spring break. And we have a few more weeks to deliver math, nicest lot, 5th grade science, and a lot of our own year-end assessments as well. With that, that's my presentation. Do you have any questions for me? Yes.
I just want to apologize for being tardy, but I also wanted to just give you and the staff kudos at that talent show. The piece that I walked away with that was so moving to me was how confident those kids were, particularly those 5th grade girls, which is a really important age. And I was so moved by the culture that you've created here, how important it was that the kids, all ages, were cheering each other on. Even when some kids got stage fright. It was just a wonderful night. So thank you for all that you do for the school.
Thank you. Very nice. Thank you. I love what I do. Truly do.
Thank you so much.
Have a great meeting.
Thank you. We will. All right. May I have a motion to enter into executive session to discuss the contracts of the superintendent, assistant superintendent for business, assistant superintendent for curriculum and instruction, and assistant superintendent for pupil personnel services, and to consult with our legal counsel. Trustee Lynch first, Trustee Raimondo second. All in favor? All right, so we will return in about an hour. We are back. Sorry we were a little bit late. We're moving on in the agenda to item 3.02. May I have a motion to exit executive session and return to public session? Trustee Knudsen first. Trustee Goodrich second. All in favor? Thank you. Item 4.01, acceptance of minutes. The Board of Education hereby accepts the minutes of the April 1st, 2025 meeting. May I have a first? Trustee Jerome, second. Trustee Mitchell-Morrell. Any questions or comments? All right, we'll vote. Trustee Jerome?
Aye.
Trustee Mitchell-Morrell?
Aye.
Trustee Goodrich?
Aye.
Trustee Knudsen?
Aye.
Trustee Lynch?
Aye.
Trustee Raimondo?
Aye.
See, I'm all turned around because we're so moved this time. Trustee Knudsen is always right over there. Okay. Sorry. Hello. On to our superintendent's district news.
Good evening. We mailed out an informational postcard to every resident in the district last week that included an invitation to our community meeting on Thursday of this week. The meeting will be held in the middle high school cafeteria. We will have administrators as well as architects and representatives from our construction management firm on hand to engage in discussions and answer questions. We plan to do an abbreviated presentation so that anyone who is new to the conversation regarding our proposition that will be on the ballot in May will have an overview of that proposition and what is included, and then we want to have some breakout sessions at different tables with different areas of focus. Our intention for this meeting is to be able to provide information and answer questions for anyone who wants to join us. There is no RSVP, and we hope to be able to engage with the community and just continue to share information. We will also be holding an open community meeting at Woodstock Elementary on May 1st. A few members of the administration attended the Woodstock PTA meeting at the beginning of April. There were a lot of really great questions and positive dialogue. I appreciate everyone who participated in the meeting, and there was an immediate request for another meeting in Woodstock that we were more than happy to agree to. We will be sending out an all contacts invitation and a family shout point to this meeting, as well as social media posts in the next couple of days. The meeting will take place at Woodstock Elementary, but of course anyone is welcome to join the conversation. An area of focus that came from the conversation at the beginning of April was the need for our school community to come together and for the divisions to begin to heal. And I think this is a wonderful first step, and conversation is always a good start. So I hope that everyone who is able to can come to one or both of those meetings. In addition, we will, at some upcoming community events, we will have representation. So we will have a table at the Olive Free Library event on May 3rd. And also, some of us will be attending the Woodstock PTA Yard and Plant Sale, which is also on May 3rd. And there were a couple flyers in the back for anyone who wants to become a vendor. Both events are from 9 to 3, and I hope everyone comes out. They're both wonderful events that will benefit the community. The following week, we will be at the Town of Shandaken Board meeting, the Wittenberg Sportsman Club, and the Olive Seniors meeting. And the week after that, we will be at the Town of Olive, the Town of Woodstock, and the Town of Hurley. I would also like to invite our community to visit our updated webpage for Optimizing Ontario. The page has been completely redesigned and houses a lot of information related to the proposition that will be on our ballot in May. And has a lot of information and frequently asked questions. So please visit that webpage if you're interested. We do have, in addition to that proposition and our budget on the ballot in May, there will be 3 candidates running for seats on the board. They are Daniel Aliberti, Jenny Jared, and Rory Smith. They will appear on the ballot in that order. There are 2 seats available for 3-year terms. And we have already been contacted by Lindsay Shands, representing the League of Women Voters, to try and arrive at a convenient date for the Meet the Candidates night. And that is an opportunity for our community to get to know each candidate and understand each candidate's priorities. I'd like to thank these individuals for deciding to support the district and take on this incredibly important role. I already have met with one of the candidates, but I reached out to the other two today to offer to meet with them and answer any questions they may have. Just a reminder that our Memorial Day break will be extended due to our unused snow days. The students will be off beginning on May 22nd, and they will not return until May 28th. So they will be off on Thursday, Friday, Monday, and Tuesday, and they will return on Wednesday. This year's calendar had 7 snow days built in, but we ended up using 3. Next year's calendar has 6 snow days, so I'm optimistic that we will be fine with that number. Just a note, procedure. So we will begin tomorrow taking attendance on our buses for our 6th graders. The bus drivers will have attendance sheets and will radio in for any 6th graders who do not board the afternoon bus. That list will then be compared to the after-school activities attendance lists, and this will allow us to ensure that students are on the buses they're supposed to be on the days they're supposed to be on them. We are hoping to have an automated swipe system in the near future, but until we are able to implement that, we will begin using a manual system. I have to give kudos for our Meet, Greet, and Eat event. The event was a fantastic success. A total over $8,000 was raised through this event through ticket sales and sponsorships and the silent auction. Many thanks to all of the individuals who dedicated hours and hours to creating this celebration of food that brought the community together and raised funds for our students. The restaurants that participated provided really amazing food, as did our own staff, who showcased the healthy and delicious food that is provided to our students and faculty and staff. Special thanks to Amanda Allison for many, many hours of dedication and hard work, and Mary Beth Mills and Deb DePrill and Karen Hansen, our art and music departments, our preschool partners, PTAs, and booster clubs, not to mention all of our student volunteers and Ulster BOCES. I think I'm gonna sneeze. And I just wanted to mention the Bennett talent show, which I was not able to attend, but I understand was very wonderful. Sorry. Sorry.
Any questions for the superintendent?
That was too much.
All right, you fought it. Okay. All right, board district news. Any board trustees have news to report? Trustee Jerome?
Not other than I just wanted to, again, thank the event, the Eat, Meet, and Greet was just fantastic. Thank you so much for going above and beyond.
I think we would all agree. That was just amazing. You and your team. Kudos. Anything else?
I almost forgot. Oh, fussy. So last week, it was last week, right? I don't know. 2 weeks ago, we went to the BOCES School Board meeting in Port Ewan, and we were wonderfully served amazing food by the students there at the culinary. It was a wonderful evening where we were able to see students showcase their talents, and it's always a wonderful night to go to. And we did a little business in the beginning with the board meeting, and then quickly we're able to move on to celebrating our kids and their skill sets. So it was great.
Any other board news? All right, great. Moving right along. Our student representative for the school board, Olivia McHugh, will give us her report.
Good evening. Students are back from spring break and enjoying the warm weather outside. The high school's photography class will be heading to WAM for a field trip tomorrow. Additionally, the high school physics class will be traveling to Six Flags New England this Friday. And as April comes to an end, high school students will be heading into AP exams throughout May. And lastly, I brought the 3rd edition of Ontario's newspaper, The Talon, and I highly recommend taking a look. There are some very interesting articles. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Olivia, and thank you for always bringing us the most recent Talon. It's always a great read, and we love the line under the title. It's gripping news. Very catchy. All right. The board acknowledges public be heard comments from the last meeting, and the speaker that we had last time was Jillian Khan Urrutia. The board appreciates hearing from the public, including students, on any agenda or non-agenda item. Please understand that by our adopted parliamentary procedure, the board can't engage in discussion or answer questions during public be heard. Please know that we hear you and we take all of your comments into consideration. The board does reserve the right to correct any inaccuracies or misinformation during public be heard. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes, be civil, and do not name any particular individuals or promote any commercial ventures or products. People wishing to express individual student or personnel concerns can bring them to the superintendent's attention in private. And tonight we have Christina Davis.
Hi, everyone. I'm Christina Davis. I'm pretty active in the community. I don't come to a lot of our Board of Ed meetings, but I do watch them, so I'm very grateful to all of the things that all of you do. I am one of the UPK teachers at Woodland Playhouse and the director there, so I get to be involved in some of our youngest learners. But I'm here today because I am a parent and guardian of 3 children in the Ontario district. In March, I was made aware of a policy that I didn't know existed, and as I talked to a lot of other families and parents, found out a lot of us didn't know about it. On March 4th, I reached out to transportation to request that my daughter be sent to Phoenicia at an existing bus route and an existing bus stop, because I worked out an opportunity for her to learn about sewing. And it felt she was something she was super interested in, and it wasn't something that's offered as an after-school program. And so she was really excited about it. And initially, I was told, great, no problem, here's the bus route information. And then sort of got pushed up the pike through these several emails of, actually, we don't bus children to extracurricular activities, and we haven't since we came back from COVID. This was a surprise to me because she, in May of 2024, was bused to Glenford for a violin lesson without any issue. And I actually went back and looked through those emails, and I just hadn't specifically said, this is for a class. I had just said, I needed to go here on Mondays. And transportation said, okay. So then I learned that we, as a district, bus children to play dates. We'll bus children to childcare situations, we'll split households, everything like that, but that there is no opportunity for them to go to extracurricular activities. I wrote a letter to Superintendent McLaren. We corresponded a little bit. She let me know that she did speak with some of the administrative team, as well as some personnel. I'm assuming it was the building principals from what it sounded like. But at this time said that it was not an option for the district to change this policy or procedure. I wrote back that I understood this policy existing coming back from the COVID pandemic. Things were chaotic, things were building the plane as we were flying it, all the things. I was one of the teachers and a director at that time. I totally understand how that works. But at this point, it feels more detrimental to our students that they're not offered these opportunities, that there are opportunities in our very rural community for them to be able to go and do these things. Thank you.
Christina, would you be willing, if you have a written statement, would you please leave it with our board clerk so that we can read the rest of your comments?
Can I email it? Is
Oh,
that
sure,
easy?
of course, yeah,
Perfect.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would anyone else like to speak tonight? All right. We're moving on. Let's see here. So this is for discussion and possible action, and we are looking at the vote for the BOCES 2025-2026 budget. The Ontario Central School District Board of Education hereby approves the 2025-2026 Ulster County Board of Cooperative Educational Services administrative budget in the amount of $7,283,083. May I have a first? Trustee Jerome, second. Trustee Raimondo, any questions or comments? All right, we'll vote. Trustee Knudsen?
Aye.
Trustee Jerome?
Aye.
Trustee Mitchell-Morrell?
Aye.
Trustee Goodrich?
Aye.
Trustee Lynch?
Aye.
Trustee Raimondo?
Aye.
All right, thank you, that's unanimous. Item 10.02 is the vote for BOCES Board of Education seats. I may need a little help with this one, Amanda. So the Ontario Board of Education hereby casts their ballot for the Ulster County Board of Cooperative Services. Seat number 1 is a 3-year term. It's for New Paltz, and the candidate is Barbara Carroll from New Paltz, New York. Seat number 2 is Rondout Valley, 3-year term. I'm sorry, both of those terms run from July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2028. And the candidate is Lucy Van Sickle of Kingston, New York. And seat 3 is an at-large seat. It is a 1-year unexpired term, April 22nd, 2025 through June 30th, 2026. And seat 4 is an at-large term, which is a 3-year term, running July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2028. And we are to select 2. So so we're selecting 2 of the 4 names that are listed. Oh, yes, please.
Do we need to cast a vote for seats 1 and 2? Just to be clear, even though there's one candidate for each of those? No?
We can
No? Okay.
do a vote for each, or go ahead.
So I read, this was in the documentation at the event we went to. I believe the way it works is of these 4 people, the top vote getter gets the 3-year seat, and the
Right.
second place gets the 1-year seat. We don't designate.
Okay, so the 4 names that we're selecting 2 of are for the 2 at-large seats. So we're not, are we not voting on the first 2 seats at all?
No, we are.
Okay.
So you're voting on the first 2 seats, and then you're voting on seat 3 and seat 4. And from seat 3 and seat 4, we choose, or you choose, 2 of the 4 candidates. So if you'd like to vote for seat 1 first, and then move to seat 2, and then seat 3, we can do it that way if it makes it easier.
Since there's no choice for seats 1 and 2, maybe you could vote for those together, and just, it's sort of just it's an endorsement of those candidates.
I'm not even sure how to word this. So in terms of seat 1 for New Paltz and seat 2 for Rondout, are we in favor? Can we do a consensus vote? Okay, are we in favor of the candidates that are listed? Show of hands. Okay, that's unanimous. And then we're to select 2 of the other 4, and Trustee Knudsen explained how that would work with the 1-year unexpired term and the 3-year full term. We have options of an Ellenville candidate, Willie Bruce, an Onteora candidate, Allison Dodd, Kingston candidate, Suzanne Jordan, and a New Paltz candidate, David Thompson. So how do we do this vote?
So my suggestion would be if you want to do a consensus vote on each, and then we can do a resolution on whomever has the most votes. Does that make sense?
Kind of. Go ahead.
Can I suggest if this is how the board feels, maybe we confirm Allison Dodd since she was our nominee, and then just choose among the other 3?
Okay. I'm just like, I'm trying to follow rules that don't exist, and so I'm just like, I don't want to skip ahead. So we'll do a consensus vote again. If you support electing Allison Dodd to the 3-year position, or to any position, please raise your hand. Thank you. That's unanimous. And then how do we just, okay. Okay. If you would like to vote for Willie Bruce, please raise your hand. Did you get that? If you would like to vote for Suzanne Jordan, please raise your hand. And if you would like to vote for David Thompson, please raise your hand. Oh. Okay. I did. I voted for Allison Dodd, and oh. Okay. May I just ask again, if you'd like to vote for Allison Dodd, please raise your hand. So we just didn't have a quorum on any of the, okay. So, right, okay, good. All right. Whew. Okay. So now we have to have a resolution. Okay. The Onteora Board of Education hereby cast their ballot for Ulster County Board of Cooperative Services. I just don't know how to word this. Seat 1 and 2, so, okay. Hereby resolve that Barbara Carroll is our choice for New Paltz, and Lucy Van Sickle is our choice for Rondout Valley. I'm sorry? Okay, and Allison Dodd from Onteora for an at-large seat. Okay. So we'll vote. Trustee Knudsen?
Aye.
Trustee Jerome?
Aye.
Trustee Mitchell-Morrell?
Aye.
Trustee Goodrich?
Aye.
Trustee Lynch?
Aye.
Trustee Raimondo?
Aye.
All right, that's unanimous. Thank you all. Thanks for bearing with me through that. On to item 10.03, discussing adding email response protocol to the board norms. We just wanted to go back to what we had discussed previously and make sure that everyone agrees, excuse me, with what we had talked about before, because we never actually took a vote. Trustee Knutson?
So I did have one question about this draft, which is on the third scenario. When it's an incoming email that has comments and opinions and isn't asking anything particular of the board. I just wonder, it's sort of a, it's a polite form response that says, we've heard you. The suggested norm is that it requires the board president to get a quorum approval, but it's a form. So I just don't know if that can just be sent without. If that's what it's going to be, I don't think it needs to be a quorum approval.
I mean, that makes sense to me. Sarah?
That actually tees up the question I had, which is there a scenario where we don't use a form and therefore it would be, for example, you suggest for a response to number 3 and then one of us may say, I'd prefer that we share this information or something like that. Like, can we direct them to this policy or web page for further information? Or are you suggesting in this new protocol that we only have these sort of form letters?
I mean, I think this is a guide for, like the most often, most often we get emails that would be responded to in either of these 3 ways. I think there's always a chance that it might be something different, and many times I do forward everything that we receive to the superintendent. Sometimes she responds because she has the information that we don't have. Obviously she's not writing to us to ask for our approval because it's different with us. We're a team of 7. Trustee Knutson?
Yeah, so, I was just going to say that it's the middle scenario that would engender board discussion about, what's the proper way, what's the proper information to point them to. And I guess what you raised is a good point, is that it would be up to the discretion of the board president to sort which type of email this is. And I guess we could put in the norm, if there's any doubt, go to number 2, but if it's very clear that, just I think this, period, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, so just to be rather safe than sorry, is it a, gosh, I hope this isn't something. Would it, I don't have a problem sending it to the board, for approval ever. So, and Trustee Lynch's point is well taken, because sometimes, 3 of us might say, yeah, this is fine, and then one person says, hey, have we thought about this, or should we offer some a suggestion or some information?
I guess from where I sit, we've come such a long way in terms of our communication and our transparency. I don't really see a scenario for number 3, to be honest with you, because no one ever writes to us and says, hey, do you know the sky is blue? They'll write to us to say they have an opinion about something that we are discussing, or that they're concerned about with their child, or that the community needs to know about. So from my perspective, I'd prefer that we just use this form in section 2, and that we do have a quorum. I think to me that feels more appropriate than just saying, we hear you. It just, someone getting that response back, it feels very unsatisfactory.
I agree. I do agree with that, which is, I think, one of the reasons why I didn't initiate responses to so many emails that we received over a couple months ago, because just to say, thank you for your correspondence seemed very trite. How do other trustees feel about this? Trustee Jerome?
I agree with Trustee Lynch and you. I think that making people feel considered and responded to is important. So options 1 and 2, and maybe eliminating 3.
Trustee Mitchell-Morrell, how do you feel?
I like the 1 and 2 as well.
Trustee Goodrich?
Yeah, I like 2 the best. So, but I like 1 and 2, and 3 doesn't seem very useful.
Okay. Trustee Raimondo?
That's fine. 1 and 2 is great.
Trustee Lynch?
Thank you. Thanks for being willing to strengthen and clarify the response.
You're welcome. And Trustee Knutson? I think we already heard from you, but okay. Yep. Okay, good. So we have consensus, and so we'll have this added to our board norms. Will you take care of that for us, Amanda? Okay, thank you. We have a break built in right now. Do we need a break? No? Okay, we'll keep going. The board hereby approves items number 12.02 through 12.09. We're approving the consent agenda. May I have a first? Trustee Jerome, second. Trustee Goodrich. Any questions or comments? Trustee Knutson?
I just want to say that I've reviewed Schedule U and everything appears to be in order.
Great, thank you. So we'll vote on that. Trustee Jerome?
Aye.
Trustee Mitchell-Morrell?
Aye.
Trustee Goodrich?
Aye.
Trustee Knutson?
Aye.
Trustee Lynch?
Excuse me, aye.
Trustee Raimondo?
Aye.
All right, great. That's unanimous. Thank you. Item 13.01, contracts and independent contract retainers. The board will approve all independent contract retainers and contracts, which are items number 13.02 through 13.05. May I have a first? Trustee Jerome, second. Trustee Raimondo, any questions or comments? All right, we'll vote. Trustee Knutson?
Aye.
Trustee Jerome?
Aye.
Trustee Mitchell-Morrell?
Aye.
Trustee Goodrich?
Aye.
Trustee Lynch?
Aye.
Trustee Raimondo?
Aye.
All right, great, that's unanimous. So we have some policies. 14.01 is a first reading of policy 3430, school safety and educational climate reporting. 14.02, and we're not voting on anything unless it's a second reading, correct? Okay. Yep. Okay. So 14.02 is a first reading of policy 6161, expense reimbursement. 14.03 is a first reading of policy 7350, corporal punishment. 14.04 is a first reading of policy 8460, field trips and excursions. Superintendent?
I just wanted to make mention that I I got some feedback from one of our high school principals to modify the field trips and excursions policy very minorly, but, and I can send that out to the board so that you can see the suggested changes.
And at any time when I'm sort of just rambling off those first readings, if anybody has a question or comment, please just, stop me and we can discuss. 14.05, policy number 8430, independent study, reviewed and okay as is. So our action is the Board of Education hereby accepts policy 8430 as reviewed. May I have a first? Yes.
I'm not sure. I think you might have started with number 2. There's a 1 on the previous page that you might have skipped. The school safety and education.
I read it.
You read it?
Yep, I did
My
read that.
fault. Never mind.
It's okay. So the board hereby accepts policy 8430 as reviewed. May I have a first? Trustee Mitchell-Morrell, second. Trustee Raimondo. Any questions or comments? All right, we'll vote. Trustee Knutson?
Aye.
Trustee Jerome?
Aye.
Trustee Mitchell-Morrell?
Aye.
Trustee Goodrich?
Aye.
Trustee Lynch?
Aye.
Trustee Raimondo?
Aye.
All right, that's unanimous. Any committee reports? Trustee Lynch?
Sure, just wanted to update everybody that the communications committee met, and we had the privilege of working with Point Road Studios, Sharon Lepovsky, to help our colleagues at BOCES sort of bring that narrative forward from what we've been talking about as a community and at the board table to some of the communications tools that you've all now seen, including the postcard, the website, and the invitations for various community meetings. So it was a very productive meeting. We also resurfaced the Parent Square discussions, and we are waiting on the administration to connect on budget implications, as well as we're still trying to create what they call a sand lot, which is an opportunity for those who will be utilizing this tool to play around with it, essentially, and make sure that it's fit for purpose at Ontiora. But it's still being discussed at the committee level. Yeah.
Our director of technology just informed me that we have the sandbox.
Sandbox, not a sand lot. Thank you, John.
So, John, not to put you on the spot, but so you have the sandbox, and then at some point, maybe when you've played with it and gotten a little familiar with it, will you share it with us? Is that how it works? Okay, great. So John said that he has it right now, and he's going to see what he can do with it, and then he's going to share it with us to see what we can do with it, and we'll start playing with it. That sounds great. That's exciting.
And just to provide context, sorry, as we're throwing around terms, I just want to remind the board this is an app that would be new for our community to be using, and very much helps us implement one of the policies actually around parent communication and community engagement, and would really help to streamline our existing modes of communication. And certainly I believe from the quick demo we had really help with some efficiencies, particularly for our administrators and staff who spend a lot of time not only crafting emails but also translating them and all the things. It's now like a click of a button. And for those end users who are involved in multiple schools, or even with just one child, it streamlines communication with your teacher and anybody else that you're connecting with at the schools. So would really value your feedback. I think it could be a game changer.
Great. Thank you very much. Trustee Jerome?
I'm just going to try to say it also how I kind of think of it, just so we can, because I mean, I think you did a great job, and I just think that we have to keep explaining it so that we can kind of describe the impact that it could have for families in our district. But if we think about all the different fragmented pieces of information that are happening in our district that get pushed to different channels, maybe they're on the website, maybe they're in social media, maybe they're in an email, what Parent Square would do would be more of a single source of truth. So you could have vision across schools in one place on your phone. So if you're like me and you don't really play on social media, you can still have a quick, add a look. Oh, okay, the concert is here. It starts at 7. Great. I'm got, and you don't have to think about it anymore. So it's really, it also additionally to like sort of consolidating all those different channels, it also allows for two-way communication with teachers, direct communication with teachers. So that's pretty cool that you can really, rather than having to call or email or this or that, you can be doing it in this much more instant way. And so it's a very exciting tool, and I hope that, and I agree with Trustee Lynch, and I agree with her description. Hopefully between the two of us and anybody else who wants to try to describe it, we can, convey its potential.
Thank you both. Trustee Goodrich?
So, from the Communications Committee, when do you think the postcards will arrive in people's mailboxes?
Yeah, many of them already did. Oh, excuse me.
Mine came a couple days ago. Yeah.
Any day if you haven't received it yet, but it was supposed to hit, I think, on Sunday was the earliest, is what I remember her saying. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
I feel like I got mine on Friday or Saturday. Yeah. Okay. Check your mailbox. Okay. Any other committee reports? Obviously, policy has been working. All right. Any old business? Trustee Lynch?
I just wanted to revisit the conversation we started last week about decisions made to curriculum, and wondering if there's a timeline for that particular discussion. There was about the languages, the world languages, but also broader about the way in which those decisions are being made. I felt that the conversation was still happening, so I'm just wondering what the plan is in terms of.
We could come back at the next meeting and have a broader discussion, kind of go through the path for how that conversation has been happening. And then that can kind of inform how it happens as we move forward too. I'm happy to bring that back.
Was it, and just, to put a finer point on it, we had talked about, multiple different ways we could pursue partnerships or other things. I'm just curious, has a decision been made, or is there a timeline for that decision?
The schedule has been created assuming that we are not continuing with the French language option.
Trustee Jerome?
Yeah, so given the last conversation, that's a bit of a surprise, because I think there was consensus among board members that that was a big deal. So if we could pick it up and talk about it next meeting, that would be great.
Yeah, I do agree, because I just remember writing down probably 10 or 12 different ideas that we kind of floated that, and I know that a lot of them were, pie in the sky maybe, but some of them I think really were things that we could potentially consider. Okay, great. Any other old business? Yes, Trustee Raimondo.
I don't mean to put you on the spot, District Clerk, but could you do a quick shout out to the community about Diligent Community and where to find it? Okay. And what it is.
So we as a district now have a new platform for our agendas and meetings and minutes. Instead of using board docs, we're using something called Diligent Community, which has a wonderful front cover page where you can subscribe to get agendas and information. I'm trying to find it on the website. So if we go to the website and you click on school board, from there you'll see board agendas and minutes, which will bring you to a dashboard with a bunch of different information, all of our scheduled upcoming meetings. We can connect with us on social media. You can see today's meetings. You can click on live stream. We do have a public be heard sign up form, and then the subscribe for agenda updates is right there as well. We do already have a handful of subscribers, which is very exciting. And a great feature too, if you want to watch it live, you can also pull up the double feature, so you can view the agenda and watch it live instead of going back and forth between our website and YouTube. So any questions, you can email me districtclerk@ontour.k12.ny.us. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Knutson?
Yeah, so I just wonder, it seemed like the last time I was on this system that's not all of the prior meetings have been uploaded, have been migrated from board docs. So I've been going back to board docs to reference some agenda attachments from just meetings earlier this year. Is there a schedule for when we're going to be completely migrated over?
Yep, so in the next 30 days after this meeting, actually, since this is our first meeting on Diligent, we're not using board docs at all. 30 days from now, board docs will be sunset and everything will be migrated over, which the migration is supposed to happen this week from my discussion with the community team last week.
Okay, so the reason I bring it up is because we're in a time when there's a big event happening that people may want to reference materials that are back on board docs. So I don't know if it's possible, tech team, to keep the board docs link until everything's available over here. You know what I mean? I don't want our previous materials to disappear if people want to go back and look at old agendas.
I can reach out tomorrow to see when they're anticipating the final migration, because if it's going to be in 24 hours, I would suggest waiting. But if it's going to take longer than expected, of course, I can add the link back. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Any other old business? Any new business? Oh, Trustee Lynch? Any new business? Yep. Oh, old business. We have to talk about Chapter 6. I'll start. I really like Chapter 6 because it's a great reminder to me about our responsibilities. And again, I think, like we've said, as we've gone through the book, these authors have a slightly different take than than what I've learned through NYSBA. So it really makes me think more, a little bit less black and white, and which I like. Trustee Raimondo?
So for students here, just to catch you up on what we're doing, we're reading a book, and we decided to do a book study amongst us where we read a chapter for every meeting that we have, and then we come together and we just talk about it. And it's the Governance Core 2.0, so it speaks to how we govern to be the best school board we can be for our students and our faculty and our community. So just so you know what we're talking The takeaway that I thought was really important, which is how I feel every day, is the statement where they said part of the challenge for the board is to maintain its critical, long-term focus while also comprehending the rapidly changing dynamic world we live in. And I feel like now more than ever, it's just a frantic pace. So I think it's those moments where we can take a pause, like when we hear something in the community or we get an email, or we don't pause long, but to just hold it for a second and really think about its impact and how we can be purposeful in how we respond and how we handle ourselves.
Trustee Lynch?
Yeah, completely agree with you, Trustee Raimondo. It happens to me all the time, and I love that I can say to each other, I'm having a hard time seeing the long view. Help. At the same time, the thing to your point, Trustee Bishop, about the difference with NYSBA, this line right in the first page struck me, which is that much of the focus of the discussion around board responsibilities has to do with boards ought not to do. And that resonated with me because I feel like far too often we talk about that is not our role, that is not what we do, that is not what the responsible board members should take that forward. And I just remember, again, a conversation this board had last summer at a retreat where we talked about, can we shift that narrative? Can you tell us what we should do? How can we be helpful to Ontario Central School District? Like, what is useful to you? And I think that that's been really a contributor to this more pleasant configuration of our board.
Trustee Knudsen?
One of the passages that I highlighted, and I think it's sort of threaded through the whole chapter, is about the word sustaining. The sentence was, it is in setting and sustaining the direction of the school district that the efficacy of this role is realized. Setting direction can be defined as moving from a conceptual understanding of the moral imperative to a well-developed, transparent, and highly focused set of policies and strategic goals. And then later on, they talk about making policy, as often boards fall into the trap of making a policy, filing it away, and then forgetting about it, right? So to me, I was energized by it. This chapter seems to point us to a more active in-between meetings trustee role of it's not just what we do here, but it's what we do in between meetings to keep these policies and goals that we've set moving forward. And so I thought it might be interesting. When we were setting board goals early in the year, I didn't feel that there was a explicit connection drawn between policy committee and goals. But this chapter, they said, what goals your board are pursuing at any given time should be tied to 2 or 3 of your top policies, right? So I thought it might be interesting going into next year to think about trying to just strengthen that connection between policy and goal.
Trustee Jerome?
For me, I think that when you look at policy goals, the work that we do, how impossible it is to keep up with the rapid change of the hybrid world that we live in, that we have to stand by our vision and our mission for this district, which I hope, we have a really strong commitment to. That's why things like language is so important, right? Because this communication, which has been turned upside down with technology, with LLMs and AI, like in-person learning how to speak with people, learning how to understand people who are different than you. This is like, to me, that all feeds into a higher value of our district, the way that music does. I've always said that that's another language that our children speak. That is why things like wrestling and sports and these real world interactions really matter. And so as we build out, things change like this, but that value, I think, for Ontario doesn't change. And just so really holding that at sort of the top of everything, the goals, policies, the day-to-day, the overhead of, you know, life. But at the end of the day, we have these values that we hold strong to. So, yeah.
Superintendent?
There were a couple of sections of this chapter that I found really resonated with me. And I think, you know, I've commented on this before, but where the authors say the board's demeanor has a powerful impact on the staff's morale and their ability to carry out the board's direction. And I think this board has such a wonderful positive demeanor that it really does make a difference. And then they also say it's important to understand that setting direction is not a single event. It is an ongoing, almost organic function of governance, and that the board should be adopting broad 5-year goals. And I think that's something that this board has really taken up, the idea that goals shouldn't be one-year to-do lists. They should be really setting the direction, and I really am so respectful of how this board has really changed that perspective.
Yes, I agree. Thank you. I didn't highlight or star any specific small piece, but the piece that really spoke to me was the ending couple pages around community leadership and engagement. And I think that it's an area, I think it's an area that we have really improved in over the past couple of years. And it's an area that I can only speak for myself, that when I'm kind of patting myself on the back and saying, oh, good job with the communication and all that, I get an instant reminder that we need to communicate better. And so it's sort of like a real process for me as a board trustee not to get ahead of myself or too full of myself in terms of the qualities that they're discussing here and the responsibilities that they're discussing there, because I think that, you know, if there's one person who's uninformed or, you know, feeling like we're not listening or whatever, then we have to do more or do better. So that piece really spoke to me. Any other comments on the book? So chapter 7 is next. Pillar 3, governance infrastructure. Chapter 7. So we'll read chapter 7 for next time? Great. And actually, since we are technically still we're jumped back to old business, can I just ask, just going back to Christina's comments, I would just like to know if what she was describing, is that in policy or is that in procedure? And if, you know, like, you don't have to answer right now, but just curious about.
I don't believe that is board policy. It's more procedure. But we can, you know, we can pull the transportation policies and review them, because oftentimes we have policies that address things that, I mean, our policies are voluminous, so we can pull the transportation policies.
Okay, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I know we did new business, but then we jumped back to old business. Any other new business? Go ahead.
Are we going to have an opportunity to talk about what Christina presented today another time, or I'm still unclear? Or are we going to talk about it in our policy meeting, just us, or?
I think
it's not up to us.
Well, I think we could take a look at the policy, and then that'll give us an idea of whether we have any role in that. I think that would help me at least. And then we can always talk about it in old business. Question? Okay. All right. Any requests for information? Trustee Lynch.
Yes, I was just, I wanted to ask, for one, just again, applaud and thank the volume of information that's going out to prepare our community for the May 20th vote. I'm also just curious if there is an opportunity to brief students in a presentation, an assembly, and or staff. I just believe that they are the ones who could potentially be such an important communicator in this. I think understanding all the facts, particularly as it will affect them on the daily, and being a source of strong information for the local community. For those reasons, I'd love to see how that could happen. I recognize we'd have to pay staff to participate, and there's other things that we'd want to make sure are considered for students' time as well. But I just want to make sure I understand if that's being considered.
For staff, we can do things after school without paying them. They're just volunteer. So we can absolutely schedule times after school for, secondary, elementary. That's not a problem. Interacting with the students, we can work with the high school principal to try and make that happen. That might be a little more difficult, but even if we offer something after school, there are a lot of students who are involved in after-school activities, though. I mean, maybe we can set up a table at lunch.
I'm thinking about like an assembly superintendent where staff and students see a presentation about what will happen at their campus. I recognize that that's a curriculum or a daily schedule concern, but that's what I was envisioning, not something that's volunteer to go to, but actually something that is presented to them as stakeholders in this plan.
We can talk to the principals, but given where we are in the school calendar, that'll be very hard to pull off. But we have cabinet tomorrow, so we'll bring it up.
Trustee Jerome?
Difficult though it may be, it seems like it's very important stakeholders to support what we're trying to do as a district. So whatever can be done to expose them, explain, I think it would be effort and time very well spent.
Any other RFIs? All right. May I have a motion to adjourn? Trustee Armando, second. Trustee Lynch? All in favor? That's unanimous. Our next meeting is on Tuesday, May 6th at the middle school, high school. Thank you, everyone.